Welcome back to One Nation. In a desperate move to drive down record energy costs, President Biden this week announced he's tapping once again into the Strategic Petroleum Reserve, releasing 1 million barrels a day of oil for the next 6 months. My next guest says this move amounts to the arsonists calling the fire department. Senator Dan Sullivan, Alaska, is calling on the president to stop the war on American energy, tweeting this: Mr. President, there's a much better strategic petroleum reserve for America that you need to tap into. It's called Alaska. Call us and get your boot off our neck. Senator Sullivan joins me now. Senator, how frustrated are you to hear that we're tapping an emergency source when you could provide it now?
You know, Brian, it's more of the same, right? The president, remember, when he ran for office, he said, I guarantee we're going to end fossil fuels. Well, that's what he's certainly trying to do. You look at everywhere his policies have been focused on shutting down production in America, killing infrastructure like pipelines like Keystone,
right,
getting financial institutions not to invest in American energy. And then he and his administration go off and beg dictators to produce more. We can produce more in America. American jobs, American energy, highest standards in the world like we have in Alaska. And this Strategic Petroleum Reserve announcement is political window dressing. We have the oil and gas in America. We need to produce it.
But you have it, Senator. You have a reserve.
Absolutely.
Tell everyone real quick what you have in Alaska, not just ANWR, something else.
Well, we have this incredible reserve called the National Petroleum Reserve of Alaska, NPRA as we call it. Brian, there are billions of barrels of oil in the NPRA, which, by the way, was set aside by Congress over 70 years ago for one purpose: to drill for oil for America. We have projects that were approved by the Trump administration that could bring hundreds of thousands of barrels a day online. The Biden administration is stopping, delaying these like they're doing this all over the country. It's completely frustrating. We have the energy in America, especially in Alaska, the highest standards in the world. We should produce from our own country.
He says the oil companies are recording record profits. There's nothing standing in their way. They should be pumping more oil. He said one CEO told him he doesn't care if it goes over $200 a barrel. They just make more money. I don't know if that CEO exists, but what should the American public who aren't in oil and gas for a living know about that statement?
Look, the president and his team are constantly demagoguing this issue. The reason we have high prices is not the war, the brutal war in Ukraine. American energy prices started going through the roof way before that war because of the administration's policies that I just described. Let me just give you one of many examples, Brian. You know, once you get an oil and gas lease, you have to do something called an application to drill. These are permits to start the work to drill on federal lands. Normally, those are approved at a regional level in a state or a state director from a federal official. A year ago, the Biden administration came out and said, stop, no more approving those. Every single application to drill in America has to be approved by headquarters in Washington, D.C. at the Department of Interior.
And they're holding it, Senator. I'll have to hold you there. About 4,000.
Over 4,000 of these are just sitting in D.C. waiting. The president could get rid of that memo, approve these 4,600 permits to drill tomorrow, and then you're going to start moving up. But they won't do that. You know,
Senator,
here's what's going on.
Yeah, I got to hold you there. But, Senator, it was a totally insincere press conference he had earlier this week, and he's going to try to blame oil and gas companies next week. Senator, keep on telling the truth. Appreciate it.
Thanks, Brian.